Welcome back, everybody. This is Edwin the Magic Engineer, and I'm going to be doing my second game against someone in the old school tournament, which is the 2019 Summer Derby. I'm going to be playing against Ben here, and I've got my Temporal Stasis deck, and he's got a black-white aggro discard deck. Now, I'm trying a slightly different format here. This is a little bit more similar to Tim the Sorcerer, or Timmy Talks, his style, where I'm going to do like a narrative over the top of the video. So I've already edited this video and I sped it up a little bit to try to like spice up the gameplay a little bit, and I'll just try to speak and keep up with the action of what's actually happening here on the screen. So I really like his playmat here, by the way. That Mark Teeden Chaos Orb, that is just really fantastic. And you'll notice on my side, I've got the Library of Alexandria, and I've flipped it upside down, and I'm actually going to be playing with the cards upside down for me, who's actually playing, but that's so you guys here watching can actually see cards the correct way. Unfortunately, though, since Appear In reverses them, the text and everything is going to be backwards on them. So he leads off with a Swamp and a Mana Vault, doesn't follow it up with anything. That's a good start. He's got access to a decent amount of mana. And I've got a Mox and a Tundra here. So I'm ready to respond with a Disenchant, possibly, if needs be. And, let's see, he's got his turn 2. He's now got access to 5 mana. And he passes the turn, not doing anything, which is interesting. And his end step by Ancestral, strong move. So now I got good card advantage. He's got mana advantage on the board, but I've got good card advantage. So I played an Underground Sea there, and now I've got a Time Vault in play, and then I untap it with a Twiddle and tap it again. And I don't have a Howling Mine out, so I'm not getting card advantage with this. I'm just doing this so I can actually get a mana advantage and speed up a little bit. And now this is a pretty good board state for me. On the start of his third turn, I've effectively got access to 4 mana. I've got a Howling Mine, which is a pretty key piece, and a Time Vault, which is a pretty key piece. Oh, okay, now he just played a Mind Twist on me. Pretty threatening. I'm tapping 2 blue. You might think I'm going to counter, but unfortunately, I didn't quite have the counter. I actually had I remember what it is. Come on, Edwin, reveal the card. It is starts with a B, Boomerang. There it is. So I don't want to Boomerang my own permanent, because then it's just going to get discarded. So I had to dump a Transmute, Kismet, Paralyze, and Disenchant. So a strong Mind Twist for him. I opted to Boomerang one of his lands because I know he had the Mana Vault and he was going to get chewed on damage on his upkeep for it. So I wanted to slow him down. So I bounced one of his lands. And he knew I was going to beat him down with the Factory while he recovered his mana. So he used a mana play to kill my Factory. But I'm drawing 2 cards a turn here. So even though I got Mana Twisted, I'm not as threatened with it. Now here we go. This is a strong Twiddle Time Vault combo. And this one's bigger because not only do I get to go again and build up a mana advantage, but this time, I've actually got a Howling Mine in place, so I get some card advantage. Every one of those Twiddles becomes really important when you've got a Time Vault and a Howling Mine in play. So I've still got 2 blue showing him and a Kismet, so everything he plays is going to get slowed down quite a bit. By the way, I really like his Mana Vaults. I don't know if those are beta or if those were just collector's edition, but they're beautiful. So he plays an Emerald and a Library of Alexandria, which came into play tapped, of course, because of the Kismet. Now here I am with a big mana advantage, access to tons of mana, and I play a Stasis. So this is very threatening for him at this point, you guys. A Kismet and a Stasis with plenty of blues to keep it running. That actually spells big trouble for him. Now what's threatening me, though, is he does have access to a white and a black. So he has a possible Disenchant play that he could play to blow up the Stasis at the opportune time, and I am concerned about that. So I skipped a turn, as you saw, to untap my Time Vault, and so now I've got 2 turns in a row I can take, meaning if I have another Stasis in hand, I could go ahead and let that Stasis go away and then keep a lock on him. And so right now, I drew 2 cards, did not get another blue, and so I'm opting to go get a Demonic Tutor here. And I remember this play, and I remember what I went and got. I believe I actually went and got a Time Twister, because I was thinking, I've got such a good board state going against him, I'm actually going to go Twist. In hindsight, in retrospect, I don't think that was necessarily the best play. What might have been better actually was just a power sink. Because if he tapped all this mana to play something big and try to ruin my board state, I could possibly just sink it. And then I still had plenty of other mana to keep the stasis actually running. So there's the Time Twister. So again, yeah, I did remember that play right. And again, now after the fact, I'm looking at it thinking like, I don't think that was really a good play on my part. Because he could draw into a Mind Twist. He could draw into a Disenchant. He was basically not having good options in his hand. And I've given myself an awful lot of cards, and I'm definitely owning the board state here. But I drew him into a lot of cards as well. So yeah, I don't really like that play that I did. And this is just one of those key learning kind of things after the fact. You look at it and think, I don't really know about that. So I played my 1 land per turn, and I increased my Howling Mine. And what this does is this gives me a lot bigger chance that with several turns in a row, I'll either draw another Stasis to keep a lot going, or I'll draw some Twiddles to get that Time Vault Twiddle combo going, and then draw a lot of cards in a row. So multiple Howling Mines definitely just feeds the beast here. And I've got 2 blue showing, but instead of keeping counter magic up, I decide I don't really like the option of him being able to possibly disenchant my stasis. So I lock his white mana down. Now his only option is to maybe dump out a bunch of mana and do something threatening like a Mind Twist or like a bunch of Dark Rituals and like a big creature or something. And of those 2, by the way, I'm much more threatened by the Mind Twist. Because a creature, I've got plenty of life. I can totally deal with it. So his best option that he could probably draw at this point is probably a big fat Mind Twist. That would cause me problems. And there it is, right? So he actually drew well, and I only had 4 cards in hand, so he Mind Twisted me for 3. I'm only going to keep 1. And again, that actually is a big problem. Because that means my next couple draws are going to have to draw me into blue mana to keep the stasis going, or draw me into a stasis. Or maybe a Twiddle so I can get multiple turns in a row. So I pitched 2 lands and a Chaos Orb. And those lands actually were, people might not think that's big. Those are actually pretty big because that meant I could have kept stasis running for several turns. And every additional turn I keep stasis going is another 3 cards I draw per turn off those Howling Mines. So getting, 2 more turns with 2 of those 2 other blue mana in my hand, that was a big deal. So that Mind Twist was really good for him. So he's of course drawing cards, but he's got the Kismet Stasis, so he's all locked down. And I skipped a turn and gave him another turn. So now I'm about to have to gamble here. I'm going to have to let my stasis go away off this Time Vault. And I'm going to have to really hope hard that I can draw into another stasis on some of those turns with those Howling Mines and multiple card draws in play. So there this turn starts. Stasis goes away. I draw 3. And I do get a Factory and a Soul Ring here. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I go ahead and take the next turn. And so this turn, if I didn't already, I'm really hoping to draw another stasis. That's what I want more than anything. Because if I can keep him locked at this point with this much mana, and I've got Kismet out, he's done. The game is literally over. There's nothing he's going to be able to do if I draw another stasis. So I got a Vice on him now. He's going to start to get chewed up. And I've got Factory out for some damage. And I'm tapping lots of mana here. And I play another Kismet. So I guess that was just in case I was worried he had a Disenchant. And I might as well get it out of my hand. But even just playing that Kismet net right there, that tells me I probably did not draw the Stasis. Because I would have just kept the Stasis, or played the Stasis, kept all this blue mana untapped, and then drawn until I got other Vices to just lock him down. So I swung for 2. He's got a Vice on him. So it looks like I'm not going to have a Stasis, so that's not great. But he's going to get to have an untapped turn. And so at this point, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I limit his options as much as possible? I don't want this guy to get good plays. So he's got 2 tapped Time Vaults, and those are going to chew him up. And so I guess I figured the next best step was to boomerang lands back into his hand. So he's going to slow down his mana. And if he untaps those Time Vaults, then it doesn't leave him much mana to play anything else. And I'll threaten him a bit with 2 blues. And so he untaps. He's going to take 2 damage from the Time Vaults. He's going to take another 3 from the Black Vice. So that's 5. He's going to get chewed up. and I can see he's at 9 life. I can see that on the right side of my screen there. So he's contemplating where he's at, and he knows he's in a really tough situation. And very likely, if I get to go again, I'm just going to lock the game out, and that's basically going to be done. So he's thinking about it. Ben's looking at what he could possibly do. And then, after contemplating for a second, Ben makes the decision to just scoop. He knows that that game was pretty much over. And honestly, I think he actually had more of a chance than he realized, because there was a chance that I just wasn't going to draw into more lock pieces. But I think he knew the chances were pretty grim for him, and he just wanted to go to game 2, maybe to possibly not reveal any more cards to me of what he's actually got in his hand. So I speed this section up 1,000%. Because we're just sitting here chatting and stuff. I figured you guys probably didn't want to hear the discussion. I don't know, sometimes people do. So again, I'm trying out different methods here. This is like a talk over, voiceover. Okay, so looks like I think I mulliganed there. And he's ready to go. So I draw my 7. By the way, you guys, I love the London mulligan rule. It's just fantastic. Okay, I actually had to mulligan twice. I'm pitching 2 cards there, so I'm starting with 5. But at least I'm going second, so I'll get to draw something. So he plays a library, very strong in Atlantic when you only have 1 strip mine. Against many decks, that could end up being the game right there. But this is a pretty darn good response to him. He's got a library, but if he's going to use it, he's going to be sucking down a lot of damage, because he's now got a Vice on him. And so he goes ahead and decides to go ahead and try to draw his way out of it. Most likely he sideboarded in Disenchants and Divine Offering, maybe Dust to Dust. He's probably boarded in some Artifact Destruction, most likely. So now I've got a Vice and a Time Vault. I did not do a land drop, so I missed a land drop there. If he's really on the ball, he'd notice that. He's continuing to draw off his library. So he's going to just play through the Vice and go ahead and let the Vice chew his mana down. So either he's got answers in his hand, or he just figures he'll draw into answers, one of the two. So that Vice is threatening to him, but, you know, not having mana is not a great board state for me. So he's got his Time Vault. Oh, and there's a Divine Offering. He did play it. And so between those two, the Vice might be more threatening, but he opted to go for the Time Vault. Now that's an interesting play. He's fearing the combo more than he is fearing the damage. So I play Reconstruction, and that's one of my sideboard cards, by the way. Instead of trying to win a counter war and spending a ton of mana on a counter war, I figured I'll just let them go ahead and spend their mana, blow up what it is they think they want to blow up, and then I'll just go get it back. And Reconstruction also combos really well with Chaos Orb and Black Lotus for accelerating mana or giving me the ability to blow up multiple permanents. Okay, look at that. He just powered out a Tetravus. That is a strong play. So I've got a Factory and a Tetravus that are going to be I'm facing down here. And so now he disenchants that Time Vault. So I've seen a Disenchant and a Divine Offering. He definitely has his sideboard cards to blow up my mana rocks and stuff off the table, or my Time Vault, at least in this case. So let's see, what does he decide to do? I think he backed up there to his end step. Why did he do that? So he activated a Mishra's Factory, and he swung with it. I missed why all his other lands were tapped. Probably just because he drew a card. Okay, so I got mana there, and I just Twiddle Vaulted. That's pretty good. That'll let me maybe build up my mana a bit more. There we go. Now I got 4 mana. Now he's only got 5 mana untapped. Oh, and he's facing a Kismet now. That is a bit of a problem. So I don't have a lock on him yet, but I've definitely got the ability to slow him down. And if he taps a lot of his mana down right now, then that puts him in a threatening position, because as soon as a Stasis comes out, it's pretty threatening. But he's swinging for 6, so he's in a good position. So he decides to swing for 6. I took it. And now he's tapping down 5 mana for a Singer Vampire. Very threatening. But the Singer, I had to remind him, that Singer comes in tapped because of the Kismet. Oh, there we go. And there is the Stasis Kismet lock. And so now he's in a really threatening position, because his creatures are all tapped down. I've got 3 mana. I can keep playing that Stasis for a little bit. I have a Black Vice on him still. And he's got a white mana, but not an awful lot else. So if I can keep this lock going, this is pretty darn good. So he opts to take the Tetravites off of the Tetravis, and you notice that they actually come into play tapped because of the Kismet. Interesting play there. So let's see, my turn starts. I upkeep the Stasis, of course. Draw a card. Not sure what I'm deciding to do here. Oh, I passed a turn in between there to untap the Time Vault. So I've got 2 turns in a row with Time Vault, which means if I've got another Stasis in my hand, I can go ahead and let Time Vault go away and keep it going. There's another turn. I pay the upkeep on Stasis, and now he's disenchanting. And I believe, if I remember right, he disenchanted the Stasis. And I responded by tapping my Time Vault to take another turn. So he went ahead and did blow up my Stasis, and he was trying to do it before his turn starts. But he forgot that I can actually respond with the Time Vault, and that's what I think we were discussing right there. So there we go. There's my Time Vault turn. He's still locked down, and sure enough, there's another Stasis. I did actually have it. And now all of his mana is shut off. He has no more whites to try and blow it up, and he's under Stasis Kismet. And with a Black Vice in his face. So he's in a really bad position at this point. So, but again, his play wasn't terrible. Blowing up the Stasis is a good call to try to actually do. But with a Time Vault in play, I just had the ability to respond. So now we're doing the long game here. I'm untapping my mana, letting the Stasis keep chewing on him. Or the Black Vices, probably. Now, let's see, where's his life at? He's at 7 right now. You can see those life counters right above on the top right.
Play lands.
Oh, he's talking here.
And I'm dead.
And
okay,
here we go.
Whew.
I thought you had me there for a bit. I let the actual audio come through here. This is what I had in hand.
Yeah, I just didn't see the...
I could have done Stasis again. Thanks for joining, guys. See you later.